back live. This is a different program. We are on Messenger, so we don't have the same kind of layout of the screen. But I'm still very happy to be here with you, Johnny. Thank you so much for being so patient with our technology, and thank you so much for allowing me to interview you and for you to share your story. Thank you so much. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for opening up this opportunity to speak.
Well, you know something? From the moment I met you many years ago, you were one of the people that always struck me as very in tune with nature, very in tune with consciousness, very in tune with your body. Like you understood the process and the journey that you've been on, and at the same time you're one of the people who I've seen kind of had it more difficult. It's like with all the knowledge and with all the journey that you've gone through, it's like you are always striving for the next level. And I would love for you to share your story because I find it fascinating and I want to learn from you. And I want everyone who's watching also to know how an amazing human being you are. So please, where would you like to begin?
Well, bless you. Thank you, Eduardo. Um, yeah, I think all the way through my journey, I've always been aware that everything happens for a reason. So no matter what's been going on, there's always been that security and knowing that everything happens for a reason. And my connection with nature and consciousness is just constantly growing and expanding. And the more I learn, the more I connect, the more at home I am with me,
That is
which I think is a
beautiful.
really
That is
strong
beautiful.
place to be.
What would you say is your greatest lesson in life?
My greatest lesson,
Yes, I mean, what is the thing that you learned that you say, "Wow, I probably this if I hadn't learned that, I wouldn't be here," or the one that created the greatest change?
I'm still learning and it's still in process. But I'd say the biggest thing that I've learned is to trust in the universe,
That is true.
trust in you, yourself, your own journey, trust
Yeah,
in yourself. And that is something that is growing and developing constantly.
yeah.
Um,
What would
but
you
yeah,
say are the most difficult challenges that you've had to uh, endure or confront?
I think it's something that we all do, and it's fear of what other people say and think, and not wanting to stand out in the crowd, even though you may stand out in the crowd, because we're all designed to stand out and have our own unique expression. We play small,
Yeah,
um, because if you do have a different point of view from what is going on in the mainstream, people want to shut you down. They don't want you to express so much, and it's some of that may be coming from outside, and some of that may be my own internal programming, worrying about what other people think.
yes,
And when you actually start to connect with the fact that we are, I am, we're all beautiful, beautiful beings here to express ourselves and live in the moment and be as conscious of our actions as we can,
yeah,
the more we get in touch with who we are and why we came here.
yeah. I totally agree with you. I think this is exactly one of the greatest lessons to be learned in this lifetime. The connection and the trust, the ability to go with the flow and to share your experience as you are experiencing it pretty much. I mean, in the moment, not save it for a better time, but as soon as it comes to you, you pass it on and continue the journey. But however, I also know that that awareness comes with a price. We had we had to go through very difficult and dark moments in our lives. And I know you have to, and we you have shared some with me, and I would love for you to share some now with who's watching, and mainly with the world, with the universe, with that connection with the cosmos, because at some point somebody is going to watch this that is going to change their lives, because they're going to be where you've been, and they will want to know how you made it through. And this is probably one of the main reasons of this interview, to help those people who might find themselves in very difficult situations, and they need a voice from the other side of the bridge. Once the struggle, the pain, the darkness feel less closing, less difficult. What can you
Yeah,
tell us about it?
yeah, yeah. Just with you going into the darkness, it's I think when you asked what are the biggest lessons I've learned, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned was that there's nothing wrong with us. Depression is just a natural state of being, but it's the whole way we perceive it and view it, and the way society looks at it. But if we actually embrace it and allow it to actually be what it is and express itself, it transforms a lot quicker. And I think that's one of the things we're learning a lot more today in society. Um, Being more accepting and allowing, and actually a big part of what I've done is I've actually, especially over the last 6 months with what's gone on, I've learned to actually get out of my own way, which I think is part of letting go of the ego. Um, but it's been a really interesting journey to actually be a human being and stop doing things, stop feeling that you're obliged or have to do anything, and be going out all the time, which is another version of distraction rather than being with you. And learning to breathe, be in the now, and be conscious.
Yes. You're talking about depression, and that is, I think we're touching the tip of the iceberg. Yes.
Which that's beginning.
Depression, I mean, yes, definitely. One of the things I always say is, don't feel bad for feeling bad. If you're feeling
No.
somehow bad, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling down, let it express itself. There is a reason why you're feeling that way. Instead of just trying to push it away, let's learn what it can we can at that time, because I also find that being depressed can be quite beautiful, because you get so
Yeah.
sad and you play the sad songs, and everything makes you cry, and you just want to lie on your bed and cover your head. Nobody touched me, nobody loves me. And it has a
Yeah.
little romanticism into it. But let's go deeper. What was, or what were, the causes of that depression? What do you think has brought that depression
Well,
about?
in 1994, I was diagnosed HIV, and it came completely out of the blue. I'd only gone to get the test done because my dearest friend asked if I'd father a child for her. And I was like, well, gun ho, let's do it. And so the actual diagnosis came as complete left field for me. And it was a total shock. And that's when the depression really hit place. I was managed to be in, going through a accepting process. I went into, deep depression for about 6 months. And I kind of locked myself into my room, and I didn't know where to go, where to turn to. There was the psychological team at the hospital, but I wasn't really getting anywhere with that. I had to actually go through the process of what my body, this whole concept had been given, at that time I was given 2 years to live. So my whole life had been completely thrown apart. Um, and I just thought, what do I do now?
When I ask
And
you
I shut,
why would they give you 2 years to live? What was
because
their
back in 1994,
yeah.
it was a time when people weren't sharing cutlery, people weren't sharing drink bottles, and everybody was dying. And so they said to me, based on my results and that I had roughly 2 years to live.
Okay.
So when you get given that news, at that stage, back in the 90s, I had all the faith I could give to the doctor. That was my guiding force. I was handed myself over completely to the medical profession,
We
and
are
I
in that
trusted them.
moment, everyone, right now. We may not be you and I, but 98% of the population are still in that stage when the doctor's word are the words of God. And if they tell you that you are dying, you believe that you are dying, that you
Yeah.
have no help but to do whatever they tell you.
Mm.
How do you deal with that? I mean, obviously, I can imagine the shock and the trauma. I went through it myself a
Yeah.
few years later, but I don't think it was any different because when I was diagnosed, I didn't consider other possibilities. It was like AIDS has been there. People die of AIDS. They die very badly. They die horrible death.
Yeah.
It's shameful. It's pitiful. It's the worst death ever.
Yeah.
Um, how was your process? What made? How come you're still here? Did you listen to the doctors?
I did for 6 years. No, no, since 94. I think it was about 2002 was a period of my life from 1994 to 2002 where I was on antidepressants to deal with the diagnosis. And then also share this as well, at a point where it was sort of like I'd pretty much given up on life. I had believed all the stigmatism, when people saying that you've got what you deserved, which was a lot of the viewpoints around people of that time. You feel like scum. And I got myself into a situation where I was raped, tortured, and abused for 14 hours, which put me into a complete downward spiral. And over the next coming years, I carried on living, but I was on the medication for the HIV. I was on antidepressants. And from 1995 to 2002, I had 3 attempts to take my life.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Incredible. I'm so glad that they didn't work. I'm so glad because
Me
you're here.
too.
Tell me one
Yeah.
thing, Johnny. How was your life before the diagnosis? Who were you? Do you give us a little picture of your childhood and the moment? How who were you before?
Who was I? I grew up in New Zealand, and I kind of ran away to. I was at secondary teachers training college doing a degree to become a secondary teacher, and I was also DJing on the campus radio station. And I had a Friday night show and a Sunday morning graveyard shift. So I had 2 shows a week. And after about 2 years of doing that, I just thought, I don't want to be a teacher. And I was kind of as we were, like so many people, we sort of like you get through school and you're kind of like, what was that all about? And what do I want to be?
Yeah.
So I DJ'd for a couple of years, and then I thought I'd take a year out, go to London, do a diploma in sound engineering, which I did do, and then got a job in a restaurant. And I spent 14 years in catering, running restaurants. But I think when I went to London, I was running away from myself because I hadn't quite accepted my sexuality when I went there. It took me about 6 months of being in London to accept it. And then yeah, I just kind of, I wanted to party. I partied a lot. I partied hard. I wanted to be free. And I think that's a ongoing thing inside of me now is I want to be free. And there's so many layers to wanting to be free. And the first one is accepting yourself. And there's so many layers to what we accept of ourselves. And
Absolutely.
realizing that we're all here for a reason, every single one of us. And every single one of us has a gift. But we have to allow that gift to unfold and find out what it is, because we're entering a period in its history where the earth is ascending
Yes.
and we're moving into a time it's completely unknown. So we almost need to be open to the wonder and the beauty of what
Yes.
is possible.
Johnny, why I'm going deeper.
Huh?
I'm going to go deeper because you say that you came to London and trying to find yourself and accept yourself.
Yeah.
How was it even before that? Why did you had difficulty accepting yourself? What was the beliefs or the structure that you had in your mind in childhood, or how did you came about to find it so difficult to accept yourself?
Yeah, I think I left New Zealand in 1987, which was the same year that homosexuality became legal.
Wow.
So I
So it was
grew up.
illegal until that day in New Zealand.
Before then, yeah, it was illegal here.
Wow.
And I remember growing up in my teenage years, because New Zealand back then was very sort of rugby bear and women, and it was very stereotypical. Um, and I just felt there was no way my mother was Catholic, my father was Protestant, Serbian, and there's probably a generation gap as well between me and them. And I just felt like it was something I'd never actually come to terms to or be able to be myself in New Zealand. So
Yeah.
to a degree, it's like I ran away to be myself, but
Yes.
then you still have to actually accept yourself to
Yes.
be yourself, which was
Absolutely.
something it took me a while to learn in London.
How was your health? What kind of picture health you had when you were a child? Were you strong and healthy, or you suffered difficult?
No, I wasn't. I was pretty healthy. I was a bit chubby. Um,
Were you? I cannot say you
yeah,
shocking.
I was a chubby,
Me
chubby little
too.
boy. Um, but no, I used to do long distance swimming. I used to play hockey for club and for school. So, but I mean, my elder sister passed away when I was 12. So I was also getting through my teenage years dealing with the bereavement of losing someone, because I
Yes.
never lost anyone before. So that had a big impact on my teenage years. And she was also probably the only person at that time that I was actually able to speak openly to about my sexuality. And it's a big part of me that said that she actually knew before I did.
Really?
Um,
That's well. At least you have that ability to have your, I mean, your sister who knew you that intimately, that she knew that part of you. But you said that even before you, so you didn't came about, you didn't come about realizing that homosexuality, that tendency until how was it for you? I mean, when do you
I,
realize?
I think I first realised when I was 7,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember I was sitting down with the boys at school and they were reading just this magazine like Women's Day or something. And there was the department store advert, and there was a double spread. And they had a woman in a bathing suit and a man in his trunks. And all the boys were like, looking at the boobies, look at the boobies. And I'm looking at the boobies and I'm going, but look at him. He's hot. And so I just thought, okay, this is something different here.
Yes.
So yeah, it was kind of something I kept to myself.
Okay.
Wasn't Yeah, it wasn't something you talked about. And
Yes.
then I had quite a conservative upbringing, so it was, yeah. And I was able to sort of, yeah, when my sister passed away, that's kind of took precedence.
Yes, of
So
course.
yeah, I mean, there was a underground gay scene going here in New Zealand. There always has been. Um,
How
but
old were you
yeah,
back
to
then? Seven
actually
years old?
feel
Sorry,
that again.
how old were you back then?
How old was I then when I
Yeah.
realised?
Yes.
7.
Seven, you said.
7.
Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's always been, yeah, who I am. So it's
Really?
learning to accept that and be comfortable with that.
Okay. I
'Cause I
got.
think there's a lot of things are a lot different now, but
Yes.
in the 80s and 90s in London, there was a lot of unhappy people
Yes. Yes. Yes.
faking it till they make it, almost sort of like trying to be happy. But there's a lot of hurt and wounded people out there.
That, something, I can see a better picture, a clearer picture of you. I didn't know about New Zealand being illegally, I mean, illegal, being gay. And I can
Yeah,
imagine how difficult must have been to grow up in that environment, knowing
mm,
that what you feel it's illegal. I mean, you could go to jail, and I don't know what kind of
yeah,
consequences. But beyond that, how it's seen by society, it's seen as a crime. I
yeah,
mean, just from that perspective, I can understand the the harm that we do to ourselves, because those beliefs are engraved in our mind, in our psyche. And
yeah,
and we grow up thinking that there is something really, really, really wrong. And not only
yeah,
that is wrong, but that it needs to be punished.
yeah.
So going forward now, yes?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think there's a lot of, just in general society now, there's this overall feeling of being not worthy, or that there is something wrong with us.
Yeah.
And when you have something like being gay, which has the whole stigma with them as well back in the 80s and that, it's, yeah, it's why, yeah, suicides are huge.
Absolutely. And later, in another interview, we'll share to you the how I had exactly the same situation. That feeling, that belief, that was like part of my structure. There is something wrong with
Yeah,
me and needs to be punished, or it needs to be taken off. I mean, it's like I don't know. It felt like it didn't belong there, but in some ways, like well, I asked for it, so I have to carry my cross across
yeah,
the fields and until I die with it, and that's
yeah.
fine. And it was very kind of very Christ-like, like well, yes, something. This is my punishment. This is my cross, and I will deal with it because somehow it makes me feel good because, well, we're gay.
It gives you reason.
Exactly, and it's
Yeah,
because and this is who you are, and this is the way you love, and it's
yeah,
totally understandable. Johnny, let's go forward in time
cool.
to the point where you get a diagnosis. You had 6 months, very difficult 6 months adjusting to the news. You
Yeah,
had three um, suicide attempts.
yeah,
What happened? How?
yeah. First I went on to combination therapy, which was the thing to do. Um, and me personally, my body was always struggling with whatever combination therapy they put me on, and that varied from side effects or from throwing up because the body's just rejecting it. I remember there was one drug called dudanosine, which after about 2 months of taking it, they were like horse tablets. opening the cap would make me gag, and I'd be like feeling this sort of like, I've got to take this, this is going to save my life, and it's like I've been trying to take it, and then it just throwing up, once it's down, and it's just sort of, so you go back to the diet, and then they put it in this baby formula so that you can actually manage to take it. And there's a part inside of me that's at that point was just sort of like, I've got to do this, but my body doesn't want it. I knew then my body didn't want this, didn't want those medications. And then with another drug, I remember efavirenz, and lots of reports on Google about not giving efavirenz to people with suicide, but as is unfortunately the society, the world we live in these days, a lot of that has been removed from the web, anything that's detrimental about the pharmaceuticals. But a lot of people were committing suicide. And I remember I was on the efavirenz, and they said that the side effects would wear off after about a couple of months. And they didn't. And so then they said they'd put me on this other drug, which would counteract the effect of that. So I was like, okay. So I went on that drug, and then I came over to New Zealand for a holiday for a couple of months. And I was taking that drug, and then one day my sister-in-law, who's a doctor, she says, oh, what are you taking? And I showed her. And she says, what are you taking that for? And I says, because it's to counteract the side effects of the drugs. And she goes, these are antipsychotic pills. These are what they give people in mental asylums. And that was when a little bell went off inside of me, like, what the fuck am I taking?
Yeah.
What are they doing to me? Do you know, it's like we're being experimented. I felt like an experiment. It's like, I'm not psychotic. And it's like, and so when I got back, it was like demanding to come off those drugs. So it's slowly coming off different drugs, and also different times. I think throughout that time when I was suicidal, I was admitted into hospitals. I had shingles, a really bad dose of shingles. I was hospitalised for a month, and I was on morphine for 6 months because of the pain. I took myself off. But the interesting thing was, when I actually got down to 2002 and looked back, I'd been on about 5 different combination therapies for the HIV, and each time I was ill, and it was something different that was my illness. And each time they said it was the HIV, but each time that illness disappeared when the drugs changed. So being the one that was taking the drugs and living this and experiencing it, I actually came to the conclusion that this is not the HIV, this is the side effects of all the drugs that I've been taking. And back then in the 90s, some of the drugs even had a skull and crossbones on the container. They were poison.
Wow.
And it's just taking the right amount of dose.
Wow.
So, and also being on that combination, I was also on antidepressants. And there's no research about taking different drugs together, antidepressants, all these. There's no research for it. So they don't know the effect that's having. So that could have been, put it this way, when I've not been on synthetic drugs, medication, I've not been suicidal. And I remember back in the mid-90s, when it's like after my second suicide, I was like, what is going on? Why am I trying to kill myself? As bad as everything was, and whatever had been going on, it never made sense to me. And fortunately, on that last night, when I tried to actually take my life, and I took a massive overdose, and I woke up the next morning, and it was just sort of like, it was surreal. It's like, did that actually happen? And then eventually it was sort of like, I just started convulsing and taken into hospital. And even the hospital was just sort of like, there's no way you should be alive. Then that was too late to pump my stomach because I'd gone to bed. So they just put on drugs to stop the paracetamol from working, but they said you should be dead. And it was that point when I sort of like looked back at what had actually happened that night, and it was like, something has intervened and I'm meant to be here. It was like there was a divine intervention.
Yes.
That I actually woke up and it's like, no, you're here for a reason and you're not going yet. So sit down, sort it out.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. But it was really.
Yes, sorry, Johnny, continue.
No, it was a really difficult time. And when I was in the hospital getting better, the guy for the psychiatrist came to see me, and he leant over the bed and said to me, he said, "I see you've had a really difficult time, Johnny. Let's talk." And I just lay there with my eyes shut, because the second time I tried to commit suicide, I was nearly sectioned and threatened with being strapped to a table. So when this guy came in to speak to me about we need to talk, I was just sort of like, don't say anything, just pretend you're asleep. And it's like, there's no way, because I know there's a part of me as well that knew it's like, once they actually get you into the asylum or whatever, if you need help or start drugging you even more, your life's pretty much over, because there's something wrong with you. And to me, I was just sort of like, right, just pretend to be asleep. And fortunately, he left. And about 5 minutes later, I'd packed up everything and I was out of that hospital, and I'd booked a ticket to Thailand. And I went and sat on the beach in Thailand for 2 months. And to decide what I wanted to do. Whether the first month was sort of like deciding, did I want to live or die? Then I had an experience at a monastery and with the monks. And the next thing I know, I'm starting to plan what I want to do with the rest of my life, which is when I started doing health and fitness, natural health, and personal training.
I am speechless, Johnny. It's truly, what a story! What a story! I'm just right now trying to digest the whole thing, because it's, it is, it is offensive to the human being to listen to an abuse that is going on, and it's been going on for so many years.
Yeah.
I believe that the only reason we came back to tell a story, is to have these kind of conversations, because we have to let people know that what doctors tells us is not the word of God. And if the body reacts, and if you have a different opinion of yourself, or whatever the doctors are giving you, the diagnosis and the sentence, because it's more than a diagnosis, a sentence, you have to begin to think for yourself and allow yourself to trust what you're feeling more than what others are telling you. This is, I believe that this is truly the only reason we came back, because what else? I think the universe as a living organism knows that the truth has to come out. And the truth is, regardless of what it's been going on, it's your truth. This is
Yeah.
the truth that cannot be denied. This is your truth. And as your truth comes out and is being shared and people listens to it, their truths will become valid. Their truths will be real
Yeah.
and strong enough to impress and inspire others to also believe in their truth, because now we have a programming that our
Yeah.
truth is a lie, that what we think
Yeah.
about ourselves, what we think about our reality and my body and my mind, no, it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah.
The doctors will
Yeah.
tell you what's true, and then it will tell you how to solve it and how to deal with it. Because what you think about yourself now, no, 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 it's not
Yeah.
good. Thank, oh,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, I obviously this is just unraveling the full situation. How how did, I mean, you are in Thailand, went into the monastery, had your religious and spiritual experience.
I, yeah. I was wandering around the monastery, and I was just looking at the monkeys and the trees and everything. And of course, the monks started gathering around me, and I was just sort of like, and of course they were just saying to me, they were like commenting on my tattoos and that, and then eventually there was a few of them around me, and they were just sort of like, so he said, I would really like you to meet the head monk, and I was like, oh, that'd be nice, that's cool, and I didn't realise at the time, but it's like they can read auras, and of course, being suicidal, my aura would have been grey and black. So they invited me up to see the head monk, and I went into this room, this really elaborate room full of lots of different signalia, and he asked me to have, if I wanted a cup of tea, and I was like, cool, and they sent one of the monks off to make tea, and then he came back, and I went in there at 12 o'clock, and next thing I knew, he was like, oh, it's been lovely meeting you. You can go. And I got up and I walked out, and it was 5 o'clock. And I've no idea what happened, but from that point on, I started thinking about how I wanted to live the rest of my life, what I was good at, what I liked. It's like he reconnected me, aligned me with myself, and brought me back into my body. Because quite often we have these experiences, or we're going through life, and sometimes it's so difficult to deal with things that we kind of leave the body because it's all too much, and we're just sort of we're there, but we're not feeling, we're not experiencing, we're almost cold and shut down.
Johnny, if we are in a society that mechanically kills us as undesirable parts of it, what can we expect? I mean, how can we expect to feel good about ourselves? And now there is this kind of, oh yes, very proud, and all the companies and all this stuff, and people are very happy because the new medication is very good, and they are all happy. And now people are, even HIV positive people are I decided that because they've been undetectable for so many years. Now they can say
Yeah.
that they are HIV negative, so they have freed themselves of the stigma, because they don't have to share it anymore, because as long as they
No,
take their
they
little
don't.
pill, at night or whenever they
Yeah,
take them, they feel like they are saved. They are
yeah.
saved.
Well, it's been my goal since in 2003. I actually came off the antidepressants, and I was just sort of, and I knew I had to build myself up for it. But part of it was I tried to come off the antidepressants before, but whenever you get a dip, you panic.
Yeah.
And you think, I can't do this, I'm going to kill myself, and you go back on the drugs. And in 2003, I just realised, okay, it's going to go down, but life is full of ups and downs. So when that down comes, accept it, and it's going to pass. And the really interesting thing was that first time when I went down, I started to panic, and I said, this is just part of life. This is life. Life ebbs and flows. It's just like tides. There's highs, there's lows. And it lasted about a day.
Yes.
And then it went on. And then I was sort of like, I was okay. And that was it. Whereas in the past, that day would be when I panic and phone the doctor, and they put me back on the drugs.
Yes.
And that was the last time I ever took antidepressants.
Yeah.
And I think from that stage then, it was almost a commitment to myself that I didn't believe in drugs, because of the journey I'd had in previous time with taking all the medication for what was supposed to save me, which was, to me, the medication was killing me, I was trying to kill me, the HIV was trying to kill me, and I had so many scrapes with death. But I still managed to get through it all and come out. And I think around 2003, it was a goal that I had to myself that I would one day be drug-free, synthetic drug-free.
Yeah.
And with that comes the thing that when you do try to do something like that and you fail, it's sort of like you've learned your lesson, get back on the drugs, do as you're told.
Yes.
But I'm not very good at doing what I'm told. I do what I feel. And our feelings, our heart, are very powerful once we start getting out of our head and
Yes.
connecting in with our body and listening to the wisdom in the body. And yeah, at first you don't succeed, try and try again. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So
Yes.
if you come off the medication and you don't succeed and you get through it, then you get yourself strong and you try another tack.
Okay, so what would be those tactics if you are talking about? I mean, people right now are listening, and I'm sure they are connecting. And if they, I mean, right now they can feel their bodies vibrating because they probably went through something similar, regardless of
Yeah,
if they were gay, and HIV, cancer, diabetes, whatever issue, a medical issue or physical issue that we've been struggling with chronically for a while, and we don't get solutions, real solutions, because we just get like um, we cover the symptoms. So
yeah,
people who are, which is most of us, 99.9% of us have some chronic issue. They
yeah.
are connecting with your story, and as one of them, I can tell you, what would you, I can ask you please, what would your advice in dealing with mental health? How do you deal with the panic attacks, with the depression, with the uncertainty, with the anxiety, with the fear of being wrong or the fear of rejection? How do you deal with your mental health?
It's that's been something that pretty much I've had to learn along the way. And with starting to work, doing body work, doing massage, and dealing with people and the energy in the body, and starting to talk to more people over the years with their issues and what they're going through, um, and just understanding how the body works and that the body is actually full. We have 50 odd trillion cells. They've all got their own consciousness. They've all got a purpose. They all know what they need to do. And we've been in this society where we've been programmed with this education system, with this pharmaceutical system, with all the governmental systems, the economic systems, all these things which create almost slavery, a prison. So we're trying to create a life within a structure,
Yes,
and we're infinite.
absolutely. You said something really
We're
beautiful.
powerful, incredible beings, but we've been programmed to be small. We've been programmed to be
Yes,
victims. We've been programmed to give our power away.
yes,
And big part is step realize, like with anxiety or all these things, when you start, you know, a lot of people are doing yoga or breath techniques or ice baths or all these things. There's different things, but they're all incorporating the breath.
yes, yes,
And I realized that with anxiety, with sometimes you couldn't even go outside. And that went on for some time. But eventually over the years, it sort of comes to you, sort of like you actually have control of your body.
yes, yes,
And it's like, just breathe. You know, the anxiety is coming from inside. And it's about actually taking responsibility for yourself. Nobody is responsible for my feelings, my emotions, or my life. You have to take responsibility that everything that's coming up inside of you or happening to you is yours,
yes, yes,
and own it. And now looking back with anxiety or something like that, or depression, it's just an unexpressed part of you that wants to be loved. The one thing we crave as human beings is love.
yes,
And it's the highest frequency. As over the 20 odd years as I've been doing body work, and there's been loads of different modalities where people have healed, whether it be John of God or Reiki or any other sort of modality or guru or whatever. Sometimes it works for people and sometimes it doesn't. And there was a thing inside of me that was just sort of like, what heals is when everything aligns, and it's the power of love. and it's massive. And if we're talking about frequencies, we've been living in this three-dimensional frequency for the last 26,000 years, when it's all been about abuse and trauma and war and ego and power and corruption. And ultimately, that's not who we are.
Yes.
But with the system, the way it's been being programmed, and with the chemicals in the food, the chemicals in the atmosphere, the chemtrails from the sky, the chemicals that are in all the drugs and the vaccines, and as the world is getting more and more medicated and more, we're becoming more and more controlled, to the point where the world is crazy right now.
Yes.
And nobody knows what to believe or what to think. And it's like,
Who
you
to
almost
trust.
have to step out of it
Who to
and just
trust.
look at it.
I think, Johnny, you said something that really resonated with me. It's you said we are full of conscious cells. We each and every single cell of our body has its own consciousness,
Yeah,
and I have learned to communicate with those cells, to
yeah,
listen to what those cells have to say, and to also tell them what is important for me, to tell them, heal. What do you need to heal? How can I put the right environment around you so you feel like you have all the nutrients that
yeah,
you need to feel healthy and strong and to give yourself the chance to recover. I
yeah,
think that is amazing. All the processes that you're sharing with us, and I find truly inspiring to hear you bring about all this information because we need to hear about it. Uh, I am right now kind of, what is next? What's next? We have your story, and like your story, we have many stories because it's my story. And if your
but
story is my story, there will be millions out there who right now resonate with our stories.
yeah.
What are we doing? Are we working in the background? Are we doing the best we can? Are we organizing ourselves? Are we supporting each other like a cell to cell? You are one cell of this huge organism that is the planet, and I'm communicating with you. What can we do? What do you think in your wisdom and light and everything that connects with the higher intelligence? What's next?
What's next? Unity consciousness. All the cells in our body, whether they're all programmed. They're all within programs. We've got programs that are beating our heart, that is breathing, bringing air into our lungs, digesting our food, for seeing, for hearing. They're all programs. And then we've also got the programs that's being installed from the outside,
Yes.
be it family, be it society, be it education, school, governments, everything. And what now is to actually take responsibility and start deleting the programs that don't serve us, that keep us small,
Yes.
and start installing new programs. And it's about being conscious of those thoughts and feelings all the time.
Reprogramming.
When they come up,
Hold on to that thought.
breathe.
Hold on to that thought because I'm about to run out of battery. Let me go and connect my.
Okay.
Hold on, hold on. Sorry about that. I thought my battery would last a bit longer.
Right. That's right.
Reprogramming. Okay,
Yeah.
and I think, to be
And
honest, I think that is key. Reprogramming. We have to find ways to
Yeah.
reprogram ourselves safely and consistently. I
Yeah.
I believe that discipline is one of our greatest tools of self transformation. If we want to create anything in our bodies, anything in our environment, it can only happen through discipline that will build self belief, that will build strength and determination to keep going. What?
And
Yes.
on that note,
Yeah.
with discipline, I think a really key thing as well is be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Because sometimes saw somebody just recently who has been so hard on themselves because they're not disciplined, they're not this, and they were in a mess. And it's just like, just
Yes.
breathe, be kind to yourself.
Yes.
If that's where you are right now, honor it.
Yes.
Because the determination, the discipline will come, but it's only going to come if you honor where you are every day.
Yes.
And every day we're energy, we're vibration, we're frequency, we're constantly shifting and changing. So what we feel today, if we have an off day the next day, quite often that's enough to make us give up. But it's sort of like, just allow yourself to go with the flow.
Yes.
Take out the expectations and be kind to yourself.
I agree with you. Yes, but sometimes we have a programming that says you cannot do it.
Yeah,
You cannot
yeah,
do it, and then we feel, and it's fed every single time that we fail, because it's like, yeah, well, I just started a diet for 10 days, and then in day two I stopped. Yes, of course.
yeah,
Well, and I feel bad and I get depressed because I didn't do it, and every time I look at the mirror, I hate my body, and I just feed my feeling bad feeling, and uh,
yeah,
and I understand how sometimes we have to be kind to ourselves. Yes, and I think that is very very important. However, however, there are times when we need to grow up and say, stop it, stop complaining, stop being childish, and just do what you need to be doing. Because I know that if you do your meditation, if you cannot meditate for 20 minutes, meditate for one, or take 3 deep breaths every single day, but make it every single day. If that is all you can do, or that's all you can commit to,
yeah,
do it. Start from the smallest of challenges. Breathe
yeah,
3 times daily, but 3 conscious breaths every day. And
mm,
if you stopped, and instead of going, oh my God, I just stopped, just restart again, and then restart again, and restart again. And whenever we stopped, it's not a matter of that we failed. No, we just had a break, and we start again. Because I've learned, and this is something that I've been doing regularly since 2009. I was the most unreliable, undisciplined, undetermined human being on this planet. I was, I was that. I was all with the flow, and sometimes I was happy. Sometimes I was bad. Sometimes I was very good at starting things and terrible at finishing them. Terrible, horrible. Never, I would never finish anything. And I thought, well, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm a very good starter. And there must be
yeah,
someone who must be a very good finisher. So therefore, I had to find my other half. And that was my mentality for many years. However, because that other side never came, I
yeah,
thought, am I always gonna be incomplete? Am I always gonna be just a very good starter? But I will never ever finish anything, and that connected with my health, because back then I would say, well, I'm doing everything to be healthy and to have this peace and to have this strength, But somehow I begin, and at some point, I just get sabotaged by myself, by my own body and mind. And I said, how could I stop this struggle? Why do I always have to be in battle with myself? And this is my only kind of great teaching that I learned from this universe is whatever you want to do can be achieved if you constantly remind yourself and the universe that this is your aim, that you are meant, you are going that way, and even if you come out of the path for a little drink or for a rest, that's fine. But you come back to the path and you keep going to that in that direction. And for that,
Yeah.
and for me, discipline. Right now, I navigate with this flag of saying it doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter if you want to breathe or you want to stand in one foot or you want to pray to the Guru Ramdas or you want to pray to the God or to Jesus or to Mahoma, to whomever. Do whatever is your connection with spirit, but do it regularly and challenge yourself constantly. That's my. But today's your story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I hear that. I think it's a big part of where I'm going at the moment is stepping out of this 3D duality. So when things come up and there's judgment, like so I've got to be disciplined. All I have to do. My only aim is to be my soul expression,
Yes.
and I will work every day to be that. So there's constantly things coming up which I'm wanting to observe. I'm aware of things that are coming out of my mouth that are sort of like, that don't serve me, that's not nice or whatever. It's a constant grow and shift and change. But I'm becoming more conscious of my thoughts and feelings and emotions and observing them and not judging them and just allowing them to express themselves so that they can transform.
Yes.
Because if I'm going to heal myself or have an abundant life of health abundance, which I'm actually having, it's actually about raising frequency. We've all got our own frequency. Everything is energy. We can't get by without energy. And there's millions of electric chemical reactions going on inside our body every second. We are incredibly powerful, but we need to tap into that and start realizing that we've got programs in our body which have been denied through our education system, through the society, through everything. And we have been these small little mechanical human beings, and we're not. We're multi-dimensional, incredible beings of light. And love is the highest frequency. Love does not allow dis-ease. We've got a very distorted perception of love on earth, but we feel love with, like when a mother has a child. We felt love with people, but it's short-lived because there's so many programs coming in, created all difficult for so many people. But when we start actually learning to love ourselves and realize that by loving ourselves, we can be the change that we want to see in the world. It starts at home. It starts with us. It's like old style has been going out trying to change the world. But the only way we do that is by changing ourselves and by getting more in touch with love. And that is the highest frequency. So it's stepping out of all that abuse, that anger, that hurt. Yeah, those lower frequencies, those lower vibrations, those heavier, denser frequencies.
This is
And bring it up to be light, love and light, love and light.
this is where this is. I mean, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. The only issue, I would say, no problem, because not a problem. But the only situation here is that we have double, we have a double programming. We have a double, no programming, operating system. We have our spiritual operating system, and we have our ego operating system, and both are at equal, uh, let's say, level of influencing our daily actions or our thoughts. I believe the more we connect with one, I mean, the other one feels like, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance, but just because I'm gonna give you a chance, because I can also bring the devastation, and I can bring the doubt, and I can bring the conflict. Well, yes, but we can also go with the flow and be peaceful and enjoy ourselves. The
And with
struggle,
that, and with that, you have a choice as to which one you want to give your energy to, because
100%,
energy flows where attention goes. So if
100%.
you want to keep focusing on those negative ones and
Mm,
keep questioning them,
but
you can
sometimes it
keep
got
questioning them,
no,
or
Johnny,
you can
Johnny,
just allow them.
Johnny. The thing
They'll
is,
keep coming up.
no, the thing
They'll
is
keep.
sometimes we don't have a choice. Sometimes when we live 90% or 95 or 100% on the ego, to make the transition, it's massively difficult. When you
It's
are
it's
here,
it's
when you are here and you think
it,
that this is your reality, and you get just like a, well, I just had a synchronicity. Oh, I saw 333 or 1111. Oh, it feels fantastic. But that is all your connection with spirituality. It's very difficult the transition. Let me just make the point here, because what the point that I'm making is, when you are at this point, when your mind is at its full potential. I mean, no potential, but influence on you. When your ego is at its full influence on you, from my learnings and from my experience, is discipline. You won't be able to transcend to the other side, or to have a balance, unless you say to yourself, instead of thinking constantly, I have to have the discipline to quiet down and to come back to center, and to say, I'm gonna sit myself and breathe. What you say, breathe deep. But that is discipline, because we can do it one day because we feel like we need it. But what about the next day? Oh, because I'm already happy, I'm not gonna do it.
that is all I'll say is here.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you think it's difficult or think it's not, you're probably right.
Exactly.
And the reason it's difficult the next day, might be difficult tomorrow, is because we are energy. We're constantly changing. But the more we focus on the positive, the more we start moving into the positive.
Yes.
I'm now in 2021, the most positive I've ever been in my entire life. And it's been a process.
Yes.
And it's about observing those negative state things that were, and not judging them, loving them. It's just a part of me that
Yes.
wants to be loved.
And that is your
And
discipline.
that's all and that's my discipline. That's my
Exactly.
discipline.
That is what
It's
I'm
just,
saying. You have
but
no
I don't
discipline.
see it. I've not seen it as a discipline. I've just seen it as what I do.
But it's what you do now.
What my focus is on my frequency.
Do you do it every day?
Oh, yeah, I've been doing it. And it's been even more so the last 7, 8 months with my journey, where I went even more inside and more the observer,
Yes.
and not being distracted by work and friends and dinners and outings and things like this. So this period of time has been really a massive self-reflection, and sitting with my feelings and emotions and thoughts and programming,
That's it.
and dedicating myself to that.
That is your discipline. How many
Yeah,
people do what you do every day?
but everybody, yeah, I think the discipline is this. It's everybody's is going to be different.
Everybody
I mean,
can do
apart
their
from
can
breathing
follow
and
their
that,
own philosophy. Everybody can
but they've
follow
got
their
to
own
find.
philosophy, but everybody has to follow a philosophy.
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's
and that philosophy comes from within.
100%.
So often we're out there. I think that we've been looking at gurus and that they're fantastic. There's lots of learnings coming through. People are channeling great things, but ultimately, and we go with what is resonating with us. If something
Absolutely.
resonates with us, we go with it because that's part of who we are. But then a lot of the biggest learnings we can ever get are from inside,
Absolutely. So let's
and
not let
that's where the meditation. And I don't meditate every day now. It's like, but I try and incorporate this the learnings I got from meditation into my daily life.
that's it.
So
You
it's
have made your daily life your meditation.
yeah,
There you go. There you go.
and and it's constant learning with that too, because I'm not there completely. I'm just on that. That's the journey,
That's it.
and it's
Maybe the
allowing it to unfold.
maybe the word discipline has a too strong meaning of military
Yeah,
and yes, yes, yes,
police.
yes, yes, police. And if you don't do it,
There's a lot of
you're gonna be
there's
there's
a
gonna
lot.
be consequences about it, and they're gonna put you down. And yes, maybe
Yeah,
the
there's
word
a lot of it,
discipline,
and that's a really good thing as well. There's a lot of attachments to words, and
a
what
meaning.
there might be the attachments in a Spanish to English to American to German. We've all got different attachments
Exactly.
to different and perceptions.
And I totally understand that. So,
Yeah,
I mean, you definitely have a lifestyle that is consistent, a habit in connecting with yourself, in connecting with what is important for you, in connecting with your surroundings and with your people and nature. You have that habit. How did you how did it came about? How was your from not being that, or you always were? How do you transcend it into do it as your daily meditation, as your life becoming your your practice? How do you start it? How do you start it from being a civilian into a spiritual being?
it's just. I think we're all born with that spiritual being in us, and it's pretty much been it's been a process, and it's been an unfolding and taking opportunities and always looking for the silver lining.
Yes.
I think that's every situation, whatever happens to you, every situation has a silver lining, and but you're not going to find it if you don't look for it.
I have a theory.
And
I, oh, sorry.
uh, yeah, so I think it's always looking for the silver lining, and no matter how bad it was, it's like when I got diagnosed HIV. Wasn't long after that I realised it was the kick up the arse I needed, because I was just having fun and going out. But it gave me reason, it gave me purpose, and that's the thing with a lot of illnesses. It's like, well, like back in the 90s, and even now.
Yes.
It's like you see somebody who's given a diagnosis, and for so many people, it gives them a purpose.
100%. I can
It
tell
gives
you,
them a reason,
I
and
wouldn't
it
be.
gives, but there's other people that just get on with their life. And that was something that I noticed in the 90s, was those that actually embraced the illness and claimed the illness and did everything they did slowly died off. Those that carried on with their lives kept on living. And it was like energy flows where attention goes. So if you want to focus on your illness or dis-ease that there is in your body, you create more of it.
Well, yeah, in a way,
Dr.
in a
Joe,
way,
just like that, like Dr. Joe Dispenza did that book, You Are the Placebo.
yes,
We have incredible power within our body, which we have not even begun to tap into. But as the earth is ascending at the moment and the stronger energies are coming in, we're seeing all the dark stuff coming to the surface. to be exposed, to be seen,
Yes.
and we're entering into the age of Aquarius. We're entering into a completely different time of human history.
100%.
And within that is something that we as let go of any expectations because we haven't even begun to experience them yet.
100%. And I think, I mean, I agree somehow because I think that yes, we are the placebo, and what we believe, we manifest. Um, and another thing is, I wouldn't be here alive today if it hadn't been for HIV coming into my life, into my experience. However, I went through a process, as you said, for example, when you began to realize how the different effects of the medication were affecting your symptoms and your body and your health. In many ways, I didn't have that because I didn't took medication, but I was having the very same symptoms of HIV, like diarrhea and herpes and candidiasis and pneumonias. I mean, I had the typical framework of HIV, and I had no medication to blame. It was all me. And through looking into the illness and how it changes depending on my circumstances on that moment, if I was being taken care of by a doctor, or if I was with my mother, or if I was alone, if I was taking drugs, whatever the situation were, I had enough
Yeah.
time to understand how that affected my health. However, in my case, I realized that every single illness, disease, and weakness in my body correlated to an event in the past. And I needed to go back to that part in a quantum travel with my mind in meditation or as a guided meditation or in regression therapy. I've done all that stuff and heal that moment. Heal the moment where the
Yeah.
trauma was created, where the hurt began. And as I began to heal that moment, and that was by focusing very directly in the pain and looking it
Yeah.
into the eye and said, "What the fuck? So, why are you hurting? Why so painful?" And gave love, as you said, gave love to that moment, to that part of me, to that inner child, or teenager, almost as a miracle. I saw illness in a butterfly effect affect what I was doing in the past, how it was affecting my present. So I'm just saying this to also encourage people to look into into the situation, not
Yeah.
as a problem, but as a result of something else there is there.
And I think you said something really, really crucial there as well. Is like you said, you went into the pain.
Yeah.
And I think as a society, we're being so cushioned and we've been given so many drugs and we're almost teaching ourselves not to feel. Men can't cry, women can't be erratic. You know, we've all got these things that we can and can't do. We're not allowed to feel. We have
Yes.
to put on that stiff upper lip or whatever. And but whenever something hurts, it's like we want to stop it. We want a band-aid. We want, painkillers or something. We're not allowed to feel. But all our real learnings and teaching and is actually going into the pain. Pain's there for a reason, and it's there to alert you that there's something wrong. So rather than just covering up with what we do, or we don't actually allow ourselves time to express or go through something, we have to get back to work or do this, do that. It's like we're not experiencing or allowing our body the time to adjust and catch up, and so we're constantly sort of stressing the entire body and the nervous system and who we are.
I
And
have
not,
an idea, Johnny, is that especially virus, because that's my kind of expertise with HIV is understanding my own situation. I feel that the virus managed to get hold of my life because I was already carrying a very deep pain of not deserving of something being very, very wrong about me, which is this homosexuality that was taken as wrong. And
Yeah,
I believed as a child that that was something I didn't want it to be. I wanted to kill myself as well for many years just because of that fact. So
yeah,
so that pain and that darkness and that vulnerability was created by the same society in which we were born into, and
yeah,
then it created the organism just the belief that okay, now you think there is something wrong, well guess what, now there is. And we the companies, we're going to charge you to help you and survive. But I think that if we don't have that belief that there is something wrong with us, there's simply not ground, not fertile ground for any virus, bacteria, or fungus
no.
to inhabit
And
our bodies.
yeah, and we've had to have that because we've come here to learn our lessons,
Yes,
and that's why our lives have been so challenging and so difficult.
yes,
And where I am now, I've finally got to this point where I've actually seen the human body for what it truly is, which is all frequency, all vibration, all consciousness, and seeing the illness as well as a frequency.
yes,
That's all it is.
yes,
We're just frequencies. So
yes,
it's about moving out of that frequency,
yes,
and that is taking ourselves, doing all the things we can to support our body, support our programming, support our well-being,
yes.
and surrounding ourselves with as much love as we can, even if it's just for ourselves.
Perfect. So, what about
And
now? We are in a world that is being attacked by a virus. And the only way to survive this situation is by get vaccinated and by putting yourself masks and by keeping away from other people and restricting contact. What would you, what is your point of view on this? How can we, how are you dealing with this situation? What is your input in all this?
um, well, through having gone through the HIV, that sort of woke me up to a lot of what were called conspiracy theories. And it did make me angry back in 2010. I did a lot of research and study. And then with the when COVID came along and with the PCR test, which is the same thing that's done with HIV, and being aware of the bigger picture, realised that this COVID thing that's going on around the world has been talked about for years. They knew it was coming. There's been films made about it. It's all there. So what I've pretty much done is sort of like realise that this is the time to actually realise as human beings we're sovereign. We're
Yes,
responsible for ourselves.
yes,
And whatever is, and I don't just watch TV, radio, or play now too much. It's nice to be aware of what's going on. But on the other side, there is all that going on. I'm not going to call it a vaccine because it's not a vaccine. And it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And what I do to work with that is allow everybody to be where they're at.
yes,
I'm in a good place. All is well. All is well.
yes,
I can close my eyes and all is well. Whatever's going on out there is going on out there. And everybody's exactly where they need to be in this incredible time in Earth's history.
yes, yes, yes.
And If people are at one frequency or another frequency, there's arguing, there's debate, and they're not going to see each other's point of view because they're at different frequencies.
Yes.
One's believing one thing, the other's believing another. There is no right or wrong.
Yes.
That's when we step out of the arguing, the disputing, because those that want to argue and dispute, they can argue and dispute, but you can be the change you want to see with compassion, humanity, and just knowing that you are here for a reason. There's so many people that are starting to wake up and start thinking and realizing that none of this world has made any sense.
Yes.
They finished school and they thought, what the fuck was that all about?
Yes.
Because it was a load of nonsense. A lot of it was like a distorted truth. Bit like pharmaceuticals, the pharmaceutical industry, and our perception of health and what we need to do for health is a distorted truth.
Yes.
And you can see that when you look objectively, when they shut down gyms, but fast food and alcohol are okay.
Yes.
Stay out of the sun, stay out, don't get vitamin D. When vitamin D deficiency
Exactly.
causes so many problems. We are a part of nature. We're not a synthetic, which is what the drugs are doing. They're all synthetics, and they're all made up as derivatives of nature. Nature has the answers, and we have lots of matrices going on in the world, and we've been taken down the path of the synthetic matrix. And we know, we go stand at the beach, we go up in the mountain, we connect with nature, we feel incredible. So it's another discipline is a daily connection to nature, because that is the matrix that I want to resonate with.
That's it.
That is what is powerful.
That's it.
Storms, tornadoes, tsunamis, they're incredible power and they're nature.
That's it. That's it.
And that's the matrix that I want to resonate with.
Absolutely.
So whatever's going on out there,
yes.
I'll be aware.
Yes.
And I'll deal with it whatever I need to when I need to. I'm learning right now is learning how to navigate your way through it.
Yes.
And realizing that what's their reality is not necessarily mine.
Exactly. And if you allow me, yeah, sorry. If you allow
I was just
me,
going to say, sometimes when I get in a situation where somebody's got the news on or something, or I see it,
yes,
it's almost like I'm watching a pantomime.
yes,
It's like, is this actually real?
yeah,
It's like, and it's a reality of one frequency
100%.
that a lot of people are buying into.
Yes,
But when you actually stop that frequency and it's a very low frequency, it's because it's fear.
yes,
And when you actually step out of that and start connecting with your own power and your own source connection,
yes,
and align yourself with who you really are. And I'm still learning who the hell I am.
yeah.
But I'm enjoying the journey.
It's incredible, but it's so important that we continue sharing this experience. And I would like you to ask your permission to share what I mean, you know about Tapilini, haven't you? You know that I'm doing, you know about Tapilini, the meditation, the practice that I do?
The tapping.
Tapilini. With Tapilini, the thing is, I put together two practices, tapping or EFT and Kundalini meditation,
Okay.
repeating a mantra. And I put together these two philosophies, let's say, to help me first deal with my emotions, and somehow, as I was dealing with my emotions, connect with a higher consciousness that will allow me to understand the circumstances in which I was dealing with. And this is something that I wanted to share with you, because I don't know if you know about it, although I've been shouting it on Facebook like for so many years.
I haven't been on it for. I knew you were into tapping.
Yes, yes, it's definitely has tapping, but instead of having the script, we repeat a mantra, Guru Guru Vahe
Yeah.
Guru Guru Ramdas Guru, and we repeat that 108 times. So it takes about 25 minutes. And I would like simply to put this out there for everyone who's watching. To one, we have the Johnny philosophy, which I think is beautiful, which is connect with nature, connect with yourself, go with the flow, take it easy, be kind with yourself, be loving, be loving with yourself, be loving with everything around you, realize your connection with the universe, and that inner wisdom that exists in each and every one of us. Do that, do it. If you're with me, if you're like me, which is like I question everything, I doubt everything, I will have I will change points of view, uh, and if you are someone who needs discipline and a level of structure, I will recommend Tapilini, and go to the website www.tapilini.com for more information. Tapilini is with double P from tapping, and the Lini is from Kundalini, so it's very easy. Tapilini, and have a look. If we have a tribe in English and in Spanish, but I'm building up the one in English. And if you are interested in finding ways to manage your emotions and find wisdom within yourself, go. I think Tapilini will help you. And I'm gonna ask Johnny to share with you his websites and contact information, please.
Whoa. Website is johnnytrifunovich.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that's how they
what
can
details?
connect with you.
Yeah, yeah. My details are all on there.
Okay. And you can help. You have. I mean, you are in Auckland. No, Auckland. Are you?
Yeah,
You're in Auckland.
Auckland.
Yes, and you are a masseur, energy masseur,
Yeah, body work. Yeah,
body
body
work.
work.
Yes, brilliant.
And I've been doing that for over 20 years. I've done a lot of different styles and different energy trainings, and I now pretty much just do my own style
Yes.
and incorporate energy work with it. Um, yeah,
Do you have any
I love
coaching
what
services?
I love. What?
Do you coach
Huh?
people? Do you coach people? Do you have any coaching
No,
services? No.
no. I've never wanted to be a coach, a massage teacher. Um, but I've got a few things that I feel are unfolding. So we'll just leave them there for now.
Okay, sounds
But yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
That's beautiful. Johnny, we are almost reaching an hour and a half of this interview. Yes.
Wow.
Is there anything that you would like to share? Anything that you would like to give out as your closing message?
Yeah, hang on for part two. Um,
Exactly.
I could keep on talking. There's lots more. There's lots more. But my thing would be, yeah, I think the biggest thing I've been doing for the last few months for me is just observing being aware whenever I've got negative or happy, not judging any feelings. They're all valid, and just observing them, being aware of them, and allowing them to. The more I'm aware of them, the more they shift and change.
Yes.
So, especially the negative ones, it's like if I just allow them to be negative and don't judge them,
Yes.
and just acknowledge them and thank them, it's a bit like depression. It shifts, it changes,
Yes.
rather than focusing on it. And that's pretty much a lot of what I'm doing at the moment now, is just being consciously aware of my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my speech.
Well, I think that's beautiful. Thank you so
You're
much,
about to
Johnny.
take off.
Yeah, we're ready to take off. We are ready, definitely,
Yeah, I thought that was
absolutely.
your light on your spaceship
It
to take
is. It
off.
is. It's just making me. It's just making me blind. This one. So I turn it off. So I will put your details, your website, on the description of this video. So if people want to contact you or get in touch with you, we will. I mean, they will have that direction. I
Yeah.
will also put the Tapellini website on the description if you want to get in touch, and we have to make sure that we do this again because I think there is a lot more that we need to talk and
A
share with
lot,
the and
there's a
share with the
lot
world.
more. Yeah.
For
No,
the
it'd be awesome.
Yes, but
I'd
for
love
the moment,
to.
I think it's 1 hour and a half. I think it's more than
Yeah,
enough.
no, it's quite enough.
I don't want you to get too tired. I don't want also if there's people watching, go and have some water, drink, stretch, and we'll
Yeah.
see you next time. Johnny, thank you, thank you so much for opening your heart, opening your mind, opening your whole aura to us. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I look so much forward for our next interview. Thank you so much.
No, I love you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And
Greatly appreciated.
God bless you, everyone watching. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that this video and this interview served its purpose in sharing our experience, in sharing our points of view, and hopefully you connected with any or many of the points of view shared here. And if you want to get in touch, please do. You already have the details, and we look forward to see you again in the next interview. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Namaste. Sat Nam. Hasta la
Namaste.
próxima. Ciao. Ciao, Johnny.
Ciao, bud.
Bye.